Please be advised that the views and opinions of the host and guests do not reflect those of the station, the management, and its network. Face the nation. A pleasant day. This is Freddy Abando. Welcome to our program, Face the Nation. And today we are privileged to have with us Dr. Sevilio David as we discuss the situation of water in terms of looking at it on a nationwide basis. And we are privileged to have with us Dr. Sevilio David to share with us the developments of the country's water supply, knowing that the threat of El Nino is here to haunt us if we don't save water. A pleasant day, sir. How would you describe the current situation in terms of managing the water resources? We have to ensure that we don't fall into a trap of no supply or supply which is threatened.
Yeah, good morning, Freddy. No, in fact, the government is now has organized what we call an El Nino team. No, it was under the directive of the president to allow these various government agencies to have their own processes in preparing various in the various sectors of the government to prepare for the possible effect of El Nino. No? At we know for a fact that El Nino, one of the main factors that is being affected is water. No? So the government is now preparing all these what we call action plans and strategies in various sectors, no? Be it food security, water security, and of course energy security and health. No, Freddy, is also a very important issue that is being discussed with this looming El Nino phenomenon, as well as the public safety. So for on the part of the water security, the DNR, along with the WRB, is engaged in the discussion among other agencies in preparing our strategies, particularly in securing the requirement of our countrymen on water, particularly during this possible impact of El Nino phenomenon.
Kumusta naman ho yung preparation? Ano ba yung strategy, main strategy that is being undertaken with the national government taking the lead, and of course everybody being part of the measures to ensure that we are saving water and we are not wasting it?
Yeah, on the part of NWRB and of course in securing the water requirement of Metro Manila, we are discussing with NWSS as well as the National Irrigation Administration, particularly in managing the releases of the dam. At this moment, the level of the dam, Angat Dam, is around 186 meters, which is considered under normal condition, it's within normal operating level. However, we have to consider that this looming El Nino phenomenon that might affect our country in the last quarter until early part of next year. And what do you mean by that? No, an El Nino phenomenon might result in reduced rainfall. At ergo, it will also affect the lesser possibility of recharging our reservoir, particularly the Angat Dam reservoir. So that's why we have been working on with NWSS in trying to manage the releases for water supply for Metro Manila through we allow them to activate what they call these deep wells or this aquifer source system, wherein this can be operated if there is a need to augment the water supply that is directly being released by the Angat Dam. Likewise, the NWSS has also strengthened as accelerated their efforts in utilizing their what we call these water treatment facilities outside of Angat Dam, which are located either in Laguna Lake or in Marikina River, as well as they are also trying to recover some of the backwash that is being produced in their water treatment facilities. So, Freddy, these are some of the efforts of NWSS. And of course, a major initiative also that is also a condition of the WRB in granting the continuous allocation of 52 cubic meters per second is in addressing the leakages in their conveyance system.
Would you say that the leakages, which is a major concern, is that being managed carefully? And how important is the support and cooperation of local governments in managing the water supply hand in hand with what you're doing and what the private sector is doing?
As far as the leakages, in addressing those leakages, Freddy, we have to take note that one of the requirements there is some infrastructure related activities, some repairs and rehabilitation, and which we believe the local government can provide support particularly in addressing the acquisition or when they secure those clearances in conducting their excavation and rehabilitation efforts. And as far as the managing the supply also, I think the local government units can also provide assistance in managing the demand, particularly in areas within their jurisdiction, because the president has provided or a directive that aside from providing in addressing the supply requirement that is being required to address the requirement of our countrymen, I think the public has also a role in preserving water or conserving water and more responsible use, wherein any volume that can be saved can be allocated or can be used in the succeeding days ahead.
Any specific areas where there is a problem right now in terms of how local officials play the role in informing and educating their constituents the value of saving water, lalo na kapag pinag-uusapan ho natin, sir, yung water supply para sa ating irrigation areas, not only north of Manila, but all the way down to the south in Mindanao and even the Visayas.
Yeah. So I'm under the El Nino team, as far as the that's why one of the co-chair, of co-leaders of this El Nino team is the DILG, the Department of Interior and Local Government, because we know that the local government units has a big role to play, in implementing those mitigating measures. One as far as addressing the demand, managing the demand for use of the water, as well as on the at the local level, including the requirements of our irrigation and farmers, or particularly in the agricultural sector, wherein the local government can also work hand in hand with our Department of Agriculture in providing the appropriate mitigating measures in addressing the requirement of water, particularly in areas that might be affected by a lesser rainfall events.
Where do you expect the worst to hit the country in terms of the supply of water brought about by rainfall deficit in several areas of the country?
Right now, it's Pag-asa who's determining the areas that might be possibly affected. The Pag-asa has provided is providing those information, And I think during our meetings, no, Pag-asa has been providing such information. I think we can refer, no, to those data or provinces that might be affected, no, by this El Nino phenomenon, which is also, no, currently is periodically being updated by Pag-asa.
How would you assess the current state of water? Water that is, being arriving in the country because of the rainfall, and how do you expect every individual to become responsible enough to say na hindi kayo dapat magkaroon ng wastage para naman hindi tayo magka-problema?
Yeah. Yeah, I think our countrymen, the public, must have to change their mindset. Medyo mataas tayong gumamit ng tubig, no, Freddy, no? And I think in the future, I think one strategy that we are looking in managing our supply, no, while developing those alternative water sources, I think we have to also try to manage the other part, no, yung demand naman on how do we use water. I think we have to be more to change our behavior also in how do we use our water. Particular lang, Freddy, no, yung kuminsan when we brush our teeth or nagwash our hands, we have to, we just have to close the faucet, no? Kasi kuminsan, they let the water flow sa mga faucet, which is a big wastage, no? And I think similar strategies or activities in the way we implement our chores sa bahay, sa mga households, wherein malaki po ang pag-demand sa tubig. And likewise, no, dun sa mga leakages, not only in the conveyance system of our water service providers like NWSS and concessionaires, even within our own households ay marami pong mga leakages na nangyayari, no? And I think every drop, no, na nangyayari diyan sa mga loob ng bahay is very, very important that needs to be addressed also.
How responsible are our people in following instructions, or at the same time, talagang they know exactly what the problem will be if they don't save water?
Yeah, I think I think there will be a sort of a change in mindset or behavior, no, and I think there's a challenge, no, because I think our countrymen thought that we have an unlimited water, no. I think time has changed, so we have to change that mindset that we have an unlimited water. We have a limited water that because of the increasing population, no, that supply, no, limitation has some parts in the area have been stressed, no. And I think that it's about time now where we have to change our mindset and try to conserve and preserve and be more responsible in the use of our water, wherein any drop saved, no, on our actions can be utilized can be used for our future requirements also.
A final word from you, sir, for our people.
Yeah, thanks, Freddy. I think one of our appeal, no, I think under the directive also of our president is for people to help us, no, in managing our water resources. No, I think the government has been actively pursuing a lot of efforts in managing our water resources. However, no, the people, the public, can be a good partner, no, in managing our sources by helping us, no, manage the demand side, no, by proper water conservation efforts po.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sevilio David, the chairperson of the Water Resources Board, giving us his update on how we are practicing water savings to ensure that we don't run short of supply if ever the El Nino will strike. So thank you very much, Doctor, for joining us here on Face the Nation. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Freddy, and good morning also.
Face the Nation.
Plus, indeed, this is Freddy Abando. Welcome to our program, Face the Nation. And today we're privileged to have it as former Secretary of Health, Secretary Enrique Ona, to give us his insights on the thrust to which the new Secretary of Health, Secretary Teddy Herbosa, will undertake for universal health care. A pleasant day to you, sir, and welcome to our program, Face the Nation.
Thank you, Freddy.
Dr. Secretary, how important is universal healthcare at this given time, knowing that it has been a top priority in the past, and somehow there have been so many concerns that somehow it was not living to the expectations that it will benefit our people, especially the poor?
Well, I think one of the more important responsibility of our new Secretary of Health is to articulate to the public essentially what we should really expect with regards to universal healthcare law. And I think I would start by saying that this law mandates that everybody should be open or should have healthcare available when it's needed at a cost that is affordable and that it should be available. Now, I use the word cost because it does not really mean, and I think this should be articulated very well, that it does not really mean that it will be free for everybody for every disease. I think we have to identify which essentially are the poor segment of our population where this should all be available. However, to the extent that our government can afford, and those who are not that poor, or especially the middle class and the upper class, should understand that there will always be some co-payment that will be necessary when they need hospital care in particular, especially again for the more serious or what we call catastrophic diseases. So in short, again, to repeat, that it should be free and available to those who cannot afford it, meaning the poorest of the poor. And for those who can afford it, there should be an amount of copay that has to be studied well for the sources of those funds. And this is where the private sector comes along. And when I mean the private sector, it means our health insurance, our HMOs, and other private health insurance available to our public.
Sir, at this given time, the problems that the new secretary is inheriting on universal health care, how important is it to let our people know what the costs are and where do we source the amount? Because government cannot actually, provide all the necessary logistics or finances to expand the healthcare and to ensure that those very poor can be given it or can be provided for it free of charge.
I think the government is in the right direction in trying to consolidate the various sources of these funds, meaning from national budget, from the other sources such as contributions from our foreign workers, as well as budget coming also from the various government entities other than just taxes, and consolidate them and be able to allocate them principally or in the amount that is necessary that should be allocated for the poor segment of the population. And for the middle class and the upper class is to study the usual copay that would be needed for this segment of the population, and for the diseases that they would incur.
What's the bottom line now, sir, to ensure that what he has inherited, the new secretary, can be managed very carefully? The big question is, do we have to do it on a piecemeal basis, or it should be a government whole program that should be implemented with, of course, the support of the private sector? But will the private sector be receptive to this?
Well, this is exactly, I think, a very important responsibility of our Secretary of Health to articulate this particular discussion with regards to responsibilities and sources of funds. I think it is kind of dangerous to say that all healthcare will be free for all the population, the entire population. And this is where I think the public might become eventually disappointed if they realize if this issue is not explained well to them.
Now, aside from universal health care, what other priorities are so important for the overall situation in terms of health?
Well, the direction that our Secretary of Health should do is to, among others, first is make sure that primary health care is addressed, because this is where preventive care is so important. However, we have to understand that when we talk of preventive care, for example, identifying patients who have hypertension or have diabetes, that they should be treated, they should be identified early enough, treated adequately, so that they don't go into a period of renal failure that will entail tremendous expense. The same thing with patients with hypertension. They should be identified, and this is done at the primary level, treated so that the complications of high blood pressure is avoided. So again, the same thing with cancer, for example. We should have regular early checkup of our population, so that if they have early cancer, it could be identified or discovered early and treated, so that expense for the treatment of this particular tumor, whatever it may be, is minimized. So again, it is really a combination of the capacity of our primary health care, as well as improving our capacity for in-hospital care. And this is something that is often misunderstood by the public when we talk of healthcare, or even the implication of what kind of health system we should have.
Now, I think one major concern that the new secretary should address is the flight of Filipino medical workers like nurses and even doctors to other areas of the world. I mean, because Filipinos are known to be very good healthcare workers, and the world is coming to the Philippines just to recruit what we have, and we run short of this to take care of our people.
I think that's one area on healthcare that we should be very thankful that the problem we have in the Philippines is essentially how to keep our health workers rather than having none at all. But again, that needs an understanding of the compensation that we are willing to give to our health workers, whether they are our nurse aides, our nurses, our medical technicians, or even our doctors. The mere fact that they are attracted and are attractive to the foreign countries is really a reflection of the kind of people that we are, as well as the kind of medical education that we have available in our country.
Would you say that the current situation is something that can be improved? We can improve on it so that our doctors or even nurses don't leave the country.
I think it essentially should involve a discussion and a decision on the compensation that would keep them within our country, and at the same time not to stop them from leaving. And so in short, it should really be a balance of our capacity to keep them here through certain compensation attraction, and at the same time also give them the opportunity to advance their knowledge, as well as their chance to earn more by going abroad.
Now, what about the building of specialty hospitals? Hospitals like, well, the Philippine Heart Center having a presence in the Visayas, and then you have, other areas north of Manila.
There is no question about the need for that. As a matter of fact, during the past administration, we already proposed the creation of special centers among 8 of the major regions we have in the country. That has been identified, and I am glad that they are pursuing it. However, let me just again clarify that by identifying certain areas in the country where specialty centers should be developed doesn't necessarily mean separate hospitals for each specialty the way we have here in Manila, but it really means improving and upgrading the capacity of our regional medical centers. And as I said, identified 8 of them based on their catchment area, where specialty operations and treatment can be performed. And this would mean the identification of those specialties, and I'd like to mention heart diseases, cancer or oncology, kidney diseases, pulmonary diseases, and some other neurological diseases. So in short, that has been identified, and I'm glad that this is the direction that our government is pursuing right now. And the new Secretary of Health is very aware of this, and I know that this is part of his program of health.
How would you rate the future of health under this secretary? Will he respond to all the challenges? Will he feel short that people will think that it was a wrong choice? What do you think, sir?
I think it's the best choice
Yes, sir.
among the various candidates. This does not mean that those candidates that were mentioned for the past year are not capable. They are just as capable. But if you ask my personal opinion, Dr. Herbosa or Secretary Herbosa, as my Undersecretary of Health, was very cooperative and very aware of the programs that I mentioned, and I'm so glad that this program is being not really reintroduced or revived, but it is augmented so that it can be achieved, or we can achieve it in a much shorter time.
Thank you very much, Secretary. A final word from your end.
I think I think our new Secretary of Health's program of health improvement of the country is in the right direction. I really hope that uh, the entire bureaucracy, government, as well as the public understands exactly what is trying to achieve, and this is on the period in the issue of what is really truly the meaning of universal health care, as well as his effort to improve primary and hospital care for our people.
Well, thank you very much, former Health Secretary Enrique Ona, giving us his insights on the future
Thank
of
you, Mr.
care.
Amado. It's a pleasure
Thank you, sir.
to be heard again in your
Well,
station.
yes, sir. We're looking
your
forward
program.
to that as we look at the state of health in the country moves forward under the new Secretary Teddy Herbosa. So, Secretary Ona, thank you very much for joining us here on Face the Nation. God bless.